Greetings, one and all, and welcome to Chapter 1 of your text, otherwise known as critical reading, as we can see by this hapless young man on our slide with his thinking cap on going, whoa. Actually, you don't need to go, whoa. We will get through this, and I think you'll actually enjoy it. So just what do I mean when I'm saying critical reading? Well, critical reading is looking beneath the surface of a work, whether it's a written work or a visual work, seeking to understand the creator's intent, the strategies for achieving that specific intent, and their worthiness. Are they worthy? How do we read critically? By reading closely. There are several steps to follow when reading closely. Before you start reading, preview your work. Look at the title. That should give you at least some idea of what it is you're going to be reading. Who is the author? Have you heard of this person before? If you haven't, go surfing out there on the web and see if you can find any information about this author. Chances are, if they've published something, somebody's got something to say about it. You might find out, boy, this author really knows his or her stuff. Really a good place to go for information. And on the other hand, you might find out, hey, this person is a real, not so sure, a little different. Probably don't want to use their information for your work. What genre is the author using? Is the author going to try and persuade you through the use of persuasive writing to do something, to not do something? Is he or she trying to educate you, trying to inform you, entertain you? Where was the work published? You get to kind of be a little bit familiar with publishing houses, especially when you're doing work within school. New York, of course, Boston, big areas for academic publishing. Published in Boise, Idaho. Really? I'm doing a paper on genetic research, and this work was published in Boise, Idaho. I'm going to think twice about that. I won't dismiss it right away, but I am going to think twice about it. When was the work published? How current is it? I was about to say in this country, but actually in the whole world. Things are changing and developing at such a fast pace. Information almost becomes outdated as quickly as it's put out there. So when you are looking at information, maybe with an eye towards using it as a part of your own work in the form of research, you might want to look at when it was published. If it's more than a couple years old, you might want to think about using that information. I would at least keep looking to see if there's something you could find on your topic that would be a bit more current than that. Now, of course, that I've said that, I have to give the exception to the rule. If you are just looking for background or historical information, then when a particular piece of work was published isn't quite as important. Because if you're talking about background, about history of your topic, it's the past, it's done, it can't change. So if you are looking for, the development of DNA testing, if you want to know about the history about that, because you want to include a little bit of the history about that in a paper you're doing, well, if you find a really good article that really does a nice job of giving the background on DNA testing, but that article is 15 years old, fine, who cares? It's history, it's past, it isn't going to change. It's what you're talking about today forward that you need to be concerned about, because that's what can change today forward. So you want to keep information as current as possible. Writing while reading. Interesting idea. It might feel like you're getting slowed down a little bit, but you know what? It's really, really helpful. It helps you better understand, better comprehend what it is you're reading. Underline the important or essential ideas so you can go back and refer to them quickly if you need to. Mark key passages with check marks or vertical lines. These are all ways to help you condense down the information you have read into some key main points. Write questions in the margins about difficult words or concepts, and then you can go back later and see if you can find a definition for that word or more information about a concept. That way you don't have to stop what you're doing to do that. And also, if you make notes or questions about that concept or word, then when you're done reading, you have the information right there that you can go look up. If you don't write it down, you're probably going to be saying to yourself, now that word that I didn't understand, what was that word? I don't know. So if you have written it down in the margin, look this up, then you can just say, oh, okay, I'll go do it now. And you can vent your feelings, as this stressed out individual seems to be doing. Sometimes you will read works that will just tick you off, I will politely say. And you need to know why. Maybe you still want to use this information later on when you sit down to write, but there are things about it that make you angry. You need to remember that, and you need to be able to deal with that. So that's where the venting your feelings comes in. How can we develop an understanding of the material you have read? Well, by summarizing it. Can you replay the highlights of the author's message in your own words? We do this all the time in daily life. Hey, what did you do on Saturday? Oh, we hung out at the mall for a while, and then we went and had pizza, and then we went and saw a movie. It was pretty laid back. It was cool. You just summarized your weekend, your Saturday, right? Summarize. You didn't say, well, I got up at 7 o'clock in the morning and we went out for breakfast and I had eggs and hash browns and toast, and then we went to the mall and I went to Macy's and I bought a really cute top and blah, 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 blah. You know, really? Your friends would be like, okay, too much information. Summarizing. Replay the highlights. Your friends just want a general idea of how your day went. They don't need a play-by-play. That's summarizing. Okay? Okay, developing an understanding of what you have just read. Part 2. Analysis. Break it down. Take sections at a time and sift through them and make sure you've got a good grip on each section. What is the author's claim? What is he for? What is he against? Does he seem to be really passionate about this subject? Does he seem to be almost disinterested? Why is that? What evidence has the author provided to you to support whatever it is he's trying to tell you? Was the evidence relevant? Did it actually speak to his claim? Was the evidence current? Was it appropriate? Did the author do a good job backing up the claim in general? I could say that I'm a really good golfer because I watch a lot of sports on television. Okay, how does that make me a good golfer? Doesn't. It doesn't. Watching sports on television? What sports? Golf, basketball, softball, track and field? Because I watch all this stuff on TV, I'm a good golfer? No. I'm a good golfer because I go out and I work on my game. I hit the range. I hit bucket load after bucket load of balls. I work on my driving. I work on my short game. I work on my chips. I work on my putting. I play a lot of golf. Those are reasons to make a claim that I'm a good golfer. Which, by the way, I'm not, but, you know, this is an example. Okay. Inference. Adding to the work by making what was not explicitly stated, stated. Take what is being implied and bring it to light. They are wearing coats, so it must be cold. So they must really like football. Yeah, that's true. I'm a very fair weather person when it comes to sports, and I would not be all bundled up to sit outside and watch a football game, especially if I could sit in the comfort of my own living room and watch it on TV. So, you also need to synthesize material, how things work together with your sense of what the relationships and implications of what that work might be. How does it all fit together? How does the author's evidence fit together with each other as well as with his main idea? Another thing about the synthesis is when you read several pieces of material on a particular topic, you need to be able to determine what are the main themes, what are the main ideas that I keep seeing from one piece to another to another to another of research, just worded a little differently. Okay? It's kind of like this. A Disney princess movie. What's going to happen in a Disney princess movie? There's going to be a princess. She's going to be brave and bold and face a lot of adversity and hardships, and she's going to conquer them, and she's going to fall in love with a handsome young man, maybe a prince, maybe not, and probably going to end up having to save his anatomy a time or two, because Disney is very big right now on making princesses be very powerful. So you look at movies like Brave and The Little Mermaid and Manoa, I think is the name, Mulan. Very, very strong, ladies. That is the synthesis. That is the idea that keeps running through these Disney movies. The characters change, the plots are a little different, but the main idea stays the same. The main points stay the same. That's synthesizing. I just synthesized for you Disney princess movies. And that's what you do with research materials that you are working with. You go through them and you notate, I've read this before. Maybe not exactly worded this way, but I've definitely read this before. That helps develop and nurture your understanding of your reading. Okay. Further understanding of your reading, evaluation. Determine the adequacy or significance or value of a work. Hey, did this fit the bill? This piece of writing started out to educate me on how to be a good test taker. For example, I'm at the end of the article now. Do I feel like I could go out and take my math exam that I'm going to have tomorrow and do a good job now because of the article I read, or not? Looking at materials with a critical eye. That's very, very important. So here's a checklist for critical reading. You analyze the work. Look at each section, each part. Did the author do a good job of getting the point across? Appropriate language, enough definition, too much definition. Inferences. What are the underlying meanings and assumptions that this author is making? And are they logical? Do they actually follow from his main point? Synthesize information. Form your ideas as how to make everything fit together, the pieces fit together to make the whole. And then evaluate. Judge the quality of the work as a whole. Hey, this author started out by telling me that he had a really good way for me to do better taking tests. I struggle with tests. I have test anxiety. I think I'll read this article. Okay, I go through this article. The last thing I'm going to do when I get done is say, do I feel like I can increase my grade on my math test tomorrow? If the answer is yes, the author did a good job. The answer is no, probably got some work to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's our conclusion. Don't accept everything you read at face value. Just because something is published doesn't make it accurate, relevant, or true. It's up to you, the reader, to determine if a piece of writing is truly quality work or not. As I like to tell students, darn near anybody can publish darn near anything on the internet. Doesn't make it the truth. Doesn't make it valuable or useful. That's why we have to read critically. So here ends chapter 1. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you in chapter 2.